Hello, lovely sim racers. I'm Constantinos and this is Lovely Sim Racing. Today, I will be doing a complete walkthrough of the lovely ecosystem. So, how you download, how you install the plugin, how you install the dashboards, and taking a look at some of the settings on the lovely plugin for the dashboards as well. So if you want to jump to a specific part of the video, you can just use the chapters and find exactly what you need to see. Otherwise, just stick around and I'll just walk through the entire process. The first thing you need to do is download the lovely plugin. Everything starts with the lovely plugin. Switching over to the desktop right now, I will show you that SimHub has nothing installed right now. It is completely vanilla as far as the lovely ecosystem is concerned. As you can see, there is no lovely dashboard installed. These are some test stuff that I'm doing, but that's fine. And you can see there's no lovely plugin installed either. So let's go start by downloading the lovely plugin on the website. The first thing you need to do is navigate to lsr.gg. This is the home page. Now you can directly go to the download section and hit lovely plugin. Download the lovely plugin. Once you have downloaded the zip file and unzipped it, you will find that there is a executable file. Double click on it. You'll be presented with this Windows protected your PC. Keep in mind that all files that are uploaded are virus scanned and the files are digitally signed. And once you hit the more info, you will see that basically the signature that I have. You will hit run anyway and the installer will begin. Hit yes over there, and as you can see, it welcomes you to the lovely plugin setup. So these are just a few steps you need to follow to get the lovely plugin installed. Hit next. Small notes and everything. You need to accept the agreement. Hit next again. From the latest version of the lovely plugin, I'm also including the ATSR Hub plugin and the Post-it Notes plugin. ATSR Hub plugin is essentially for LED profiles, and the Post-it Notes plugin adds some extra functionality for iRacing. I recommend you install them as is. If you don't want to, you can just untick these. I'll leave them in here and you'll see them installed in SimHub as well. So you hit next. It explains what it's going to install. So the main application, which is the lovely plugin, and the extra two stuff, ATSR and Post-it Notes plugin. You hit install and you're done. Now, if this is the first time you're installing it, I would recommend restarting SimHub before you even see anything. So even if I hit launch here, you won't see anything happening because SimHub was already launched. So let me go down here and basically exit SimHub. And now I'm going to relaunch SimHub. And this is what you would probably see when you first launch SimHub after the installation. As you can see, we are presented with 3 new plugins that we need to enable. This is very important, this bit over here. A lot of people get this wrong. You need to enable the plugin, all 3 of them, and I personally recommend that you turn on the show and left main menu for the lovely plugin. You can do the same for the other 2 as well. Once you hit OK, SimHub will refresh the UI and you will see that the lovely plugin is right here, as is the ATSR and Post-it Notes. And that's it for installing the lovely plugin. So if you go over to the lovely plugin now, you have all of these options. But before you even do that, you need to install dashboards because you have none installed right now. You head on over to the dashboard tab where you can see all of the dashboards that are available for you to install. So let's just install the first one, the lovely dashboard, the main dashboard, the one that started everything. You hit the button install and it will download and it will install the lovely dashboard directly to SimHub through the plugin. So you do not need to go over to the website and download separate files. It presents the SimHub native modal where you just hit import SimHub into library. You do that and you're done. And now the lovely dashboard is installed. If we head on over to the Dash Studio, we will find, here it is, the lovely dashboard has been installed. And that is how simple it is to install the lovely plugin and any of the dashboards that you may want. You can, of course, go in here and install all of the dashboards, anyone you want to use, and that's pretty much what you need to do. Updating dashboards is basically the same exact thing. So if there is an update on your dashboard, all you need to do is head on over to the dashboards tab and you will see the button now says update. So I had 3.5.0 and the latest version is 3.5.1. So all you need to do is just click on the update. Hitting update will download and there it is. And that is how simple it is to update any dashboard as well. If you are a member, you just need to click on the connect to Discord and it will present the Discord login in your web browser. And in here, you just need to click on authorize. And once it's authorized, you will see it says connected to Discord, and you are now connected as a pro member. And of course, now you can also install the pit wall. So this is only available to pro members and above. So if you are a pro member, you can just click install as you would any other dashboard, and it will download it and install it. Let's move on to the settings. I have put up the lovely dashboard as an overlay so you can see it directly on screen, the changes that I make and how I basically set everything up. And it's easier for you to preview what I'm doing. So we head on over to the settings tab, at which point we can see the idle screen personalization, which is what you see right now on the actual lovely dashboard. You can turn the number on and off, you can change the number, you can change the color of the number. Basically anything you do reflects on the dashboard immediately. Again, with the name as well. You can also change the background, so you can switch around and and see which one you may like. I prefer the streaks, which is at the end, and you can also change the colors of these. So you can basically, I don't know, maybe you want to make it red and blue and white. You can basically change it any which way you want. I don't like this color, so let's move back to what we already had. I kind of like this. So this is my favorite. And you can also change the way the gradient works. So it can go from, top to bottom. As you can see, it changes. This might be a bit more evident here, or left to right, or the diagonal, which I prefer. Again, these are settings that you can change any which way you want. It's up to you. All right, now that we have a replay running, let me take you through a few of the options that we have while racing, while the dashboard is actually working. So let's start off with the UI brightness mode. Let me push the replay just ahead a bit. The UI brightness mode controls the brightness of the lines, the UI lines. So you can have them low, medium, or high, as well as the UI corner radius. So you can change the corner radius of your dashboard. By default, it's at 45 pixels. I run it at the lowest setting, but you can basically make it as round as you want or square as you want. Timing options is important. The timing options basically change how the estimated lap time works and delta in SimHub, the driver gaps and driver positions. So there's a lot of explanation here. I won't go through each one, but I like to have the estimated lap time using SimHub, but the driver gaps using Post-it Notes Racing. And again, driver positions is SimHub by class. This is what I like, but you can try any of these out. Small note here, if you did not install Post-it Notes, then the options for Post-it Notes will be disabled. So unless you have that plugin, you will not be able to enable these things. Further down, we have a bit of custom dashboard customization, and this changes everything from how the names are displayed. So if I just move on, actually I could have done it before in the other one. So you can see it's F and last name. If I change this to first name and then last name, you will see the dashboard reflecting that. And of course, first name, last name, which is very long and I don't suggest it, but you can do that. You have map time modes. So if you go to another page, you can change the static to animated map. The MFM map type mode will change the map in the MFM modules from static to animated and vice versa. And for the companion, so if you are using the lovely companion, it will change the map type mode over there as well, so static to animated. You can also change the animated map zoom effect. So the faster the car is going, the more it zooms out. You can control how much it zooms out or not in the map. And there's also the next race scrolling speed. So if you have connected to an online platform, it will scroll the title of the next race on your dashboard, and you can control the speed of the scroll on that as well. So there's a lot of stuff in here you can just test and play around with. Enable virtual RPM LEDs, so you can turn these on and you can see the LEDs working. Small note here, if you have the ATSR Hub plugin installed, the virtual LEDs will match the ones inside the car in the game automatically. There's 350 cars, I think, that are covered already. So that's why I suggest you always install these plugins as well. So driver number, so you can turn this on or off and it will show the driver number in the appropriate module. So let's say we're here. If I turn it on, you will see there's a driver number. You can turn that off. You can also change the logo. You can turn on the red line flash. You can see it in the center module. You can also see race flags. There you are. There's a race flag. You can hide those. And there's also night mode. So if you turn on the lights, the entire dash will dim. There's also the ignition, which you may have seen in the beginning. So ignition is if the ignition is off on your dashboard, then it will basically show you the screen. But if you don't want to see this, if you always want to see the dashboard, you can turn this off. It's fairly simple. Another thing you can have, let's go to the beginning when we're still in the pits over here. There's clutch mode. This little yellow thing here that says 100, it shows you how much of the clutch is engaged. So this is 100%. You can turn this off, so you don't need to see it if you don't care about it. But if you do want to show it, then you have a few options. So you can only show it when it's engaged or always. So what changes here is if you start the car and you're about to pull out of the garage, and it should happen now. We're still in the pit limiter, so we didn't see it. But essentially, the clutch will go away if it's completely disengaged. If you still want to see it, so if you're doing any drifting and you want to see your clutch, you can always click on the always on and it will always show the clutch there. I prefer it off, so that's just one thing that I like to do. Moving on to one of my favorite features, which is the True Dark mode. The True Dark mode essentially is a proprietary theming system that I created for SimHub, for my dashboards. Last 8 years, I've been working on a really massive design system that allowed me to create various themes in a very easy way. And this is basically what I did with the True Dark mode. So I migrated from a very elaborate and complicated system to something a bit more simplified for SimHub. But essentially, this is what it is. So True Dark mode converts all of the colors of the dashboard to one of the 4 True Dark mode colors. And you basically just need to enable True Dark mode. If you don't want to have True Dark mode, you don't need to, but you can enable it. And there's also an option here for native activation. So any games that have 2 light stages will take advantage of this. To activate True Dark mode manually, all you do is set a trigger here. This could be done through your control mapper, or it can just be done directly on the wheel. As you can see, I have a button on my wheel. When I click on it, it enables and disables True Dark mode. Well, this is basically where you can select the color of the True Dark mode. So you can be red. Let me turn it back on. It can be red, it can be purple, orange. You can also add a trigger to toggle the colors. So you just set it up here. And I already have that on the same button here, and I can just click on it and it changes the color of the True Dark mode while I'm driving. Moving on to a few other interesting parts here. If we go to the module that has the 2-lap tire average, here it will show you over 2 laps the average value for pressure, for temperature, and brake temps for your wheels. This is extremely useful right before you enter a session. I usually use this in qualifying sessions when I'm running short races, so I can see what state my tires are after 2 laps. And then you can tweak the pressures and open ducts or closed ducts depending on the temperature. So you can see that. What you can do here as well is, with this panel over here, you can reduce the number of average laps. So you can have it at 1 lap, or you can increase it up to 5. 2 is more than enough. There's also a reset hotkey over here, which dumps the entire data that you have collected. And you want to do this because it's easier and faster to collect data, starting off with clean slate. As I said, this collects an average over 2 laps. So if you're on your out lap, it will collect that data as well. So you will still need to do 2 laps to collect new data. What you want to do is, as you're starting the lap, just reset your lap data, and it starts collecting from that moment forwards. Basically, you'll have average data a lot faster. One of the things that have been added, let me head on over to the race bit over here. One of the things that I have added is the amount of fuel to correct for liters or gallons, depending on what you have in SimHub. The calculator does not take anything into consideration. It looks at the data that you have right now and just tells you that you will need to refuel 12.1 liters to finish the race. Now, if you know you can do better, or if you know the liter is a bit faster and there might be an extra lap, it's up to you to add more fuel or less. I always tend to add enough fuel for 1 extra lap, even if I'm refueling. So over here, I can see that the average is 2.63. I'll make sure to add 3 extra liters when I'm refueling. But if you want to be a bit more careful, if you want to correct this without having to think about it while racing, you can do that over here. So you can basically say, whatever I need to refuel, I'll just put an extra 3 laps. And if you go to the module for refuel, you can see that whatever I put, it'll just add those 3 liters or gallons. These are not laps, these are liters and gallons. And you can see it shows it here that this number here, this value, is plus 3 liters from the original estimation. The next bit of the plugin is pretty huge. So I worked closely with NeoRed plugin developer Haggle. So a huge shout out to him for assisting me and helping me add this and implement this in the dashboards. But also Redadeg, which Timur that created Redadeg, the original LMU plugin. So both of these people have helped me, assisted me to integrate the LMU plugins into the lovely dashboards. I say into the lovely dashboards and not the lovely plugin because I have not integrated any information from these plugins in my plugin. They're still separate. So if you want to use LMU telemetry in the lovely ecosystem, you will need to enable it. So now the plugin is actually looking for the plugins that require the LMU telemetry. And over here, you can select which one you want to add. So which one you want to use, NeoRed or Redadeg. I would recommend NeoRed plugin, as NeoRed is a bit more advanced and has a bit more information. So I would recommend that. Or you can select Redadeg. And the reason I have two different plugins you can select, and I didn't only go with one, is because these don't work well with each other. And in the past, I had some issues with conflicting information. So if you are already using NeoRed, select NeoRed. If you are already using Redadeg plugin, switch over to Redadeg. You can use whichever one you want, but ideally, you will not use both at the same time at any point in time in SimHub. And that's why I used both of them. So if you want to know more about how to install these, you need to click on the plugin over here, which will take you to the forum post with all the information on how to install the NeoRed plugin for SimHub. Again, if you're selecting Redadeg plugin, you can also click on the link here and it will explain how to install it. Right now, I'm not using the plugins on my dashboard, and you can see if I have this enabled and I have it selected for NeoRed, because as I said, the plugin has a bit more information, I can actually see that I need to update it or I need to install it. It gives me more information. So right now I'm going to bypass it, but if you want to use LMU telemetry, you can basically turn it on and use any of these two plugins. Remember that this is not provided by the lovely plugin simply because I respect the work that Hagel and Timur have done and also are doing. So they are consistently updating their plugins every single time LMU updates their software. So if something breaks, if you install everything and everything's working and there's an update from LMU and something's not working, most likely you will need to go to the NeoRed forum, this link over here, and reinstall or update depending on what they have on their information. So if you have any issues with the telemetry coming from LMU, they are the people that you need to talk to directly, and they will probably come out with an update within a few hours. Actually, that's what I've seen so far. So I trust them, and I think you should also if you want to use the LMU telemetry. And until LeMans Ultimate adds telemetry natively to the game, this is what we rely on. So I would suggest you show your appreciation to them as well, because they are putting a lot of work and they're doing it because they love to do this. So a huge thank you to these two. Moving on, we have the alerts. So all of these are the alerts that you see within the lovely dashboard at any given moment. Lap review alerts. This is when what you see every time you cross the line of the start-finish line, where it gives you it basically just gives you a review of the previous lap. So your position, your lap time, and stuff like that. Now you can turn this off and never see this, or like I like to have it, turn it on but only have it in practice and qualifying. If you always want to see it, so if you want to see it during a race as well, you can just click on always. As I said, I prefer practice and quali. You can also change the delay for this. So you can, this is right now, it's 3.5 seconds. It turns on for 3.5 seconds and then goes away, but you can change this to make it quicker or even more delay. So the lap time delta review alerts is the same thing, but it goes into this little bit over here. So this thing remains on screen for as long as you basically have it here. I have it 5 seconds. You can turn it on or off if you don't want to use it. All the dashboard alerts, so when you change traction control or brake balance or ABS or anything, all of these alerts are controlled with the dashboard alerts. You can turn them off and never see them. You can change them to the wide alert or the mini alert. So the mini alert is basically by default, it's a little square over here, but you can also select the wide alert, which basically covers the entire width of the dashboard. It's up to you. And again, how long do these things stay on screen? I have in 1 second. You can change it and make it a bit longer. And one more alert is the damage alert. So this, I think, is one of my favorite. Anytime you have damage on your car, so you get hit punted or whatever happens, an alert will pop up and show you the damage for 5 seconds. Again, you can turn this off, and this is only available to games that have the damage telemetry enabled. So it's not on all games, but most games do have this information. And finally, the pit limiter and pit lane. So the pit limiter, basically this blue little panel over here. If you want to see the large version of it, you just turn this on, and it's completely different. And this also has some information on the left and the right, but right now it's not showing because no one's on track. So you can also see that. One more thing is there's also the pit lane alert. This will change the UI to a blue color the moment you're in the pit lane. So if you are unsure if the car is in the pit lane or you have exited, you can leave that on, and the UI will turn blue and go off once you're out of it. Two last things which are kind of irrelevant to the actual settings, but they are important. Analytics. So analytics allows me to see, anonymously of course, how the dashboard is being used. So what modules on our left and the right, and what pages are mostly used, so I can understand how the dashboard is being used by everyone, and improving it, and most importantly, just understanding if there's a feature in there that is most active, I can improve it even more. So, and analytics also shows me how many people are actually using the dashboard. It's completely anonymous. It's using Google Analytics. If you don't want to have this, you can turn it off. Moving on to the modules, or the MFM tab. This is one of the most important parts of the plugin. Basically, you can control which modules you want on the left and which do you want on the right, and also which ones are default for the left and right, and also which modules can be seen when you're using Quick View. One more thing about this is all of this information is per sim. So this changes depending on what sim you're in. So if you switch over to another sim, this will also automatically change. Again, you will need to have a paid version of SimHub for the auto game switching. Keep that in mind, and I would also recommend you do buy a license for SimHub, because this is just one of the most important pieces of software on your computer if you are a sim racer. In the lovely plugin, this will auto switch to the appropriate game. So in here, you can manually switch to another game if you want to set it up whichever way you want, but it will automatically take you to the game that is currently active. And this is what basically you can do here. You have your left MFM and your right MFM. MFMs are these modules over here, left and right. You can select which ones you want on the left and which ones you want on the right. You can select as many as you want and as least as you want. This is available for paid members. If you are a non-paid member, so if you're using it for free, you will still have these, but you will have a maximum of 3 on each side. Again, it's more than enough information, so you don't need to have a paid membership of the lovely dashboard to use them, but if you do, you will have them all available, as many as you want. So for me, I basically have enabled tires, tire average, and tire history for the left. And on the right hand side, I have more of the timings and leaderboards. So you can see active modules on the right are my lap times, sector times, relative board. Ooh, let's put in the standings as well. And I also have track opponents and class opponents. Now for the left, I always want to have my tires as the default. So when I turn on the dashboard, this is what I want to see. And on the right, I want to have my lap times. So this is what I want to see by default. And finally, for the quick view column, I want on the left-hand side, I want to see damage, and on the right-hand side, I want to see the radar. You can also select per sim what you see on the lovely overlay. So on the lovely overlay, per sim, you can select any of these that exist. And again, last thing, for the leaderboard mode, on the lovely overlay, you can select relative or standings. And this again, this is per sim. So if I switch over to, let's say, iRacing, you'll notice that it has different settings here. And of course, not all modules are available for all sims. So iRating is only available, as you can see, for iRacing. If I switch back to ACC, this is now not available for me to select because it's iRating. Moving further down, you can select your triggers for the quick view. Now, what is quick view? All of these modules are available on the lovely dashboard, and using the action keys in SimHub, you can switch the left and the right module. Quick view basically allows you to add a trigger to display module really quickly. So you have a button on your wheel, on your button box, anywhere you want, where you click on it and it displays information instantly. When you release it, it hides again. So I tend to have the same exact button. So as you can see, quick view left on both. So clicking one button will show both of the damage and the radar on my lovely dashboard. Continuing, one of the new additions to the latest plugin is the use last known module state. So any module in any MFM or module inside of the lovely dashboard, if you turn this on, it will remember its state across any session as long as SimHub has not been restarted. So as long as SimHub is open, if you have this on and you basically have the module in the center, you want to have it in this mode here. If you switch pages or if you join a different game or whatever, it will remember it and it will always have it there. The same thing for the fuel module as well. If you will have it on a refuel, it will remain on the refuel module. Again, if you restart SimHub, you will lose this information and it will just use the defaults that you have here. In the pit wall tab, you can set up your pit wall. And in here, you can turn on and off a few of the features. So the pit wall has 3 screens: the leaderboard, the map screen, and telemetry screen. If you don't want to see them all, or if you're not interested in the telemetry, for instance, you can turn this off. So this reduces the pages you need to scroll through every time. So now basically going back and forth pages will take you from the leaderboard to the map screen and back. Now the leaderboard screen is one of the most resource intensive screens. So here you can also do a few things. You can basically just show the overall leaderboard, you can show your class only leaderboard, or you can show them both. If you have both enabled, then overall and class leaderboard will be separate pages. You can basically go from one page to the second page and then on over to the map screen or the telemetry screen. So just keep that in mind. Having them both is basically each one is a different page. One more thing on the leaderboard screen that is CPU intensive and you might want to be careful if you're using it or not is the round map. So I tend to not have the round map on the leaderboard screen, so I have it turned off, and I only have it on the map screen, which is less intensive because it doesn't have so much information. But you can turn it on here and you can turn it off here if you want to, and you can control how and what the lovely pit wall displays. The online platforms are available to all members. It doesn't matter what tier you're on, but once you become a member, it unlocks the option to connect to platforms. To connect, you basically just need to follow the instructions. So for LFM, if you want to connect to it, you just put your ID in here, and we also have a little panel here showing you where you can find that ID. And this is for each of the platforms, whereas SimGrid, all you need to do is just click on the button and it connects to SimGrid automatically. If you don't want to have these, you can turn them off. So once you have any of these platforms connected and you have your ID in there, it will basically look and wait for any information on your next race. So let's say you're on SimGrid and you have registered for a race that starts in 1 hour. On the lovely dashboard, you will see a scrolling ticker with the exact time and countdown to that race. The last available tab on the lovely plugin is the Ascher Racing Tab. And in here, you can basically control how your Ascher Artura Series wheel works. The lovely plugin exclusively works with the firmware of the Ascher Racing wheel. So we directly connect to the wheel and we write to the firmware. So any updates you do here are directly connected to the firmware. What you can do with this tab is basically control how the dials work. The options you basically have is for each dial to either leave it as an encoder, so just turn it left and right, goes up and down. You can convert it to a positional dial switch, so each position basically outputs some information so you know which position it's in, and you can have it as a permanent or pulsed. And the final, which is my favorite, is the modifier. So with the modifier, you can control the output of other buttons on your wheel. And essentially here I want my left dial to be a modifier, and my modifier controls the output of buttons 3 and 9. And buttons 3 and 9 on the steering wheel, if I click on the default map, I can see that they are buttons 3 and 9. You can basically change this to any of these. You can control the output of the encoders or even the other rotary, so the other one over here. I prefer 3 and 9. You can change it any which way you want. And finally, depending on each of the positions that you have set and you have mapped these to control something, in SimHub, you can also change the label. So as you can see on the lovely dashboard, every time I turn my dial, it basically shows that and also keeps a little tab on the side so you know the left dial, what position it's in and what it controls. So now it's in TC2, TC, B-bow, and all these. And this is super fast compared to the old version, so I can change this like really, it just works because it is coming from the firmware of the steering wheel itself. Of course, you can change this to anything you want. So if I make this 1, 2, 3, there it is. It's 1, 2, 3. It's immediate and direct. And again, this goes away after a few seconds. The same thing you can do for the right dial as well. You can also make this one a modifier if you want, but it will only control the other buttons, not 3 and 9. So here you can see there's no option for 3 and 9. It's 4 and 10 or whatever. And you can also have the dials. And again, you can see that it turns on every time you turn and the label that you have. And that concludes the walkthrough of the plugin. The last tab basically is the membership tab, where you can connect and disconnect and do whatever you want with your membership. Learn more about the membership and learn more about the perks. Memberships start at €1 per month, and that €1 basically unlocks all of the features of the lovely plugin. As you can see, now that I have disconnected, the modules are only limited to 3 on each side, and you can have any of the 3 that you want. This is very important. I'm not limiting to what you can use. You must have at least 1 selected, but you can select whatever module you want. And once you have the 3, they basically lock. That's pretty much it for the lovely dashboard and plugin walkthrough. I hope you guys find this useful. I hope it solves a lot of your questions, and I hope it makes it easier for you to actually use it. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy it.